Good morning. This is Lady Danny from Lady Gentry's Handcrafted Essential Oil Soap, coming to you live from the Royal Borough of South Philadelphia. For those of you that are watching the replay, thanks very much. And for those of you that are watching live, thank you too. Today we're going to discuss butcher's broom. It may not be an herb you're super familiar with, but it kind of does what it says on the tin in that and I'm going to explain that to you in just a second, how it's worked for butchers in the past, but how it can work for you by sweeping away some of your ailments. So let's start. Good morning. Hiya. Okay, so today we're going to discuss butcher's broom, which looks like this. And if that kind of looks a little familiar to you, thanks very much for joining and thanks for sharing. That's because it is also called box holly or sweet broom or pedigree or hare's apple, or sometimes called le fragant, which is an allusion to French, which means the butcher in French. So now, this is a plant, even though it does grow like the holly berries, and even though it has these leaves on it, really that's not what's used. The root is what's used in this medicine. Good morning. Welcome to your first day on Periscope. Okay, so does it help with blood draws? You have to explain blood draws. Do you mean like phlebotomy, like actually drawing blood for blood samples and stuff? Well, I will tell you this. It does help with circulation in general, which makes it a really great herb to use. Now, sorry, having issues with tripod here. It's a little, to help blood flow, yes. Okay, let me give you all the information about it. It's from the same family as lilies. It's a Liliaceae family. Well, it used to be called Liliaceae. I think now they're actually calling Rusticaceae as the new name for the family. It's native to Mediterranean, Southern Europe, Africa, Middle East. And basically the history on this and why it's called commonly butcher's broom is because at one point in time, when butchers were curing meat, they actually used the branches of it to keep pests like rodents away from meat as it was curing. So that's one use for the branches. The other use for the branches that also applies to butchers is when they were cleaning off the tops of their cutting boards, they would actually tie branches together and use that as a sort of broom to clean up all the scraps and things that they were doing. Now, I'm guessing, I haven't been able to find information to back this up, but that same ability to keep rodents away from curing meat, I kind of get the feeling that it may have been used in the brushing of the tops of counters and cutting boards for that same reason, to keep pestilence away after you're finished cutting so that you've got a good surface for the next one. Historically, some of this has actually been eaten. The roots, when they come up, the shoots, when they come up and they're very young and tender, some people have actually eaten them as a replacement for asparagus. The only problem with it is the taste is a lot more bitter than asparagus. So, unless you go to some really fancy schmancy or some local foraging people that are actually getting the shoots when they're very young, I doubt that you'll be able to find it for general purposes to be able to use it as a culinary alternative to asparagus. But just so that you know, it has been used for that purpose. Okay, so basically what is done is the roots are harvested and then they are done as either a powder or sometimes just dried and then chopped up for use as tea. And tea is pretty much what the best use of this is. That's not to say there aren't supplements out there. I have seen the ground root done into capsules as supplements for people that want to take them. But what they're useful for is it's an overall fantastic herb for circulatory system. So you asked me about blood. Yes, it will make sure that your blood flows smoothly. It also, you've seen it in capsules, yes. It also works great as, if you look, because it tones and detoxifies, if you look in a lot of natural herb books that talk about things for detoxification, this usually comes up because it does a number of things. Not only does it help with your circulation, but it also helps promote urination. It can also help with things like inflammation in your body. It also helps rid your body of excess fluid. So if you have issues like edema, it's really helpful for that. It also helps to tone and strengthen your vascular walls, which is good if you have issues like edema or any kind of pooling or fluid, especially in your arms and your limbs. It also helps to strengthen bone and connective tissue. So a lot of times people would suggest that you drink butcher's broom if you've had like a broken arm or something. Then you would drink that because it does help with the healing of that. It also helps with alkalizing blood. And sometimes having acid in your blood can cause other issues like basically stones. So if we're talking like gallstones, kidney stones, any of those stones, they are tying that to a link in acidity in your body. So being an alkalizing force, that's a good one. So what is it used to treat? A number of things. Basically, like we said, it's great for things like varicose veins. It's great for OH, which is orthostatic hypertension. We talked about that about a week ago, about how sometimes when you get up from a seated position, your blood pressure kind of like, ooh, and you get that dizzy feeling for a minute. Well, this actually helps with people that suffer from that a lot. So it's something to consider for that. It also helps reduce, like I said, swelling, as well as if you have edema, or even there are people that do kind of fluid pools in their arms as well and gives them that really heavy feeling. So it can be really helpful for that. It's also been used to treat things like hemorrhoids, varicose veins, constipation. As I said, it really is a great cleanser to remove toxins and increase your energy. It also helps to cleanse the liver, also the kidneys, and if you have prostate issues, it may be helpful because of the amount of urination and things to help with enlarged prostate as well. So it's something to consider if you just want to get everything kind of moving smoothly. It's fantastic. There are a few warnings that you need to know about. Generally, as we say, you don't want to do it if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, because it does involve your circulatory system, and it's also got a thrombolytic effect, meaning that if you've had things like surgery and you're worried about blood clotting, this will help lessen that. So it works positively in that way. However, if you're a bleeder, like if you have hemophilia or if you're on blood thinning medications, there might be an interaction with that. That's not to say that you can't use it. It's just if you're using it as tea, I would do it as tea and not so much as supplements and taking, major dosages of a capsule form. The other thing is it may interact with alpha-androtic antagonists. So if you're on medications, hi Lalo, if you're on medications for things like high blood pressure, it could possibly interact with that. But because it also revs up your circulatory system as well as your nervous system, as well as can increase your heart rate, this may not be something for people that are already on stimulant medications. And that even includes Sudafed people. So let's not, I think a lot of times we think interactions are only going to happen with prescribed drugs. Interactions can happen with over-the-counter stuff as well. So you might want to be mindful of that if you're on any kind of stimulant drugs whatsoever, whether they're over-counter or if they're prescribed, if you're taking butcher's broom. But for those of you that are just looking for a way to kind of detoxify, to keep moving fluid, and that works for both people that are dealing with not only edema and fluid issues, but also gout and things like that, because it's helping to remove these fluids from your body. It could be useful for that. Tea is generally the best way to go because that's low end of the wedge, and the only thing that may happen is if you drink too much of the tea, there are some people that find it a little nauseating. So you should be aware of that. But if you can, if you're lucky enough and you're just drinking a cup or two a day, it probably won't be a problem. If you're drinking over that, be mindful. It could be a little bilious to some people. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it is slightly bitter, but it totally is worth it if you really just want to try and detox and rid toxins from your body and just rev up your energy level as well as your circulatory system. So that is it for today on Butcher's Broom. I'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to talk about calendula, and pot marigold has been used for a number of things, especially skin issues. So we're going to talk briefly about that. And then on Friday is our Health Focus Friday, where we talk about the latest news that's going on with health news in the media and what the latest stories are. So we'll see what happens this week, what new and exciting either reports or health articles that are being released in a scholarly capacity, and we'll discuss that on Friday. In the meantime, wherever you go, whatever you do, just try and be better people. And remember, if you need me for anything, you can reach out to me. I am at Lady Danny1 on most social media. You can also reach me on Calendula, yes. And I'll even tell you how to make your own infused oil. You can reach out to me on my Facebook page, Landed Gentris. If you'd like to buy any of my products, herbal or soap, you can reach those at landedgentris.com. And if you just found this information useful and you want to say, hey, let me give her a tip, you can do that through coffee. And usually what I end up doing with all my tips is buying more herbs to make more stuff. So sometimes it's just so that I can study an herb better, so that I can present information to you accurately, as well as having that firsthand experience. Also on Friday, we're going to discuss, someone was asking me before about black seed oil. I actually got some and I began taking it, and I'm going to tell you what my experience with it has been. I know many people have taken it many different ways. I just chose on the first level to take it as capsules. I probably haven't had all the wonderful things that everybody expects out of it, but I will tell you my experience on Friday for that. So thanks very much for joining. I hope to see you Wednesday. Have a great Monday. Bye-bye.